entrepreneur needs three things, period. They need a great banker, they need a great accountant, and they need a great lawyer. Those are the three things that they're non-negotiable.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Inspired Talks podcast. We're super excited because we have special guests, Michelle Richburg, right? The owner of Richburg Enterprises from New York City, right? You just flew in not too long ago, correct?
Correct. I flew in yesterday.
Yeah, that's insane. So we're super excited to have her on today because we just finished and completed our first content day. And how did that go for you today?
It went really well because you guys are dream team.
It wasn't even our first content day. It's actually our, third, you'll say?
Third? Yeah.
Yeah, technically third because we had the first one when you first were here in Florida. Impromptu. And then another one this year, not too long ago. And then today. Today, we just wanted to talk to you a little bit about, your story and just, some of the challenges and things that you went through on your entrepreneur journey because our audience that's listening on this podcast are new or aspiring entrepreneurs that are starting out on their entrepreneur journey.
Got it.
So before we even get started, can you just share to the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So again, as mentioned, my name is Michelle Richburg. I'm the president, founder, and CEO of Richburg Enterprises. We are a financial business management firm in New York City. I'm really humbled to call you guys family and to be here on the podcast. And what we do, we act as the CFO and handle all things money, taxes, financial planning for high net worth individuals in the music, sports, and entertainment spaces, primarily, is our client base.
I want to go back to your story, when you were in New York, and because you shared today about how the whole situation, what led up to you creating Richburg Enterprises. So I guess my first question is, what were some of the initial challenges you faced as, an individual before you got into Richburg Enterprises? And then, yeah.
So there were many, but the first couple that's come to mind is being a Black executive in the financial space. Most people are, white men with blue eyes and blonde hair that reached the level of success that I reached as a private banker before I started my company was one challenge. Another challenge was, and that's inside of corporate. And then another challenge was also, outside of being the banker in my sector, which was I'm in the music business and I banked entertainers and music executives and small business entrepreneurs. But I had to do a lot more convincing to get clients that were not in entertainment because I didn't look like the other banker. So I think there from the onset, it wasn't as much confidence until I started to chat with them and want to know more about their business and to develop a relationship. And then it became like, I want you to handle all of my finances for me, my business, my family, everything. But I had to work a lot harder than my counterparts.
That grieves me so much. And I wanted to know, how were you able to even, knowing that, because you knew that in the moment, right? So how did you mentally deal with that?
I had great mentors. I have two amazing mentors, Doreen Horowitz, which she's retired and one of my dearest friends, a gentleman by the name of Phil, God rest his soul, who really groomed me in personal finance as a young banker, and to just, things that seem really basic, but, when you meet someone, give them a firm handshake, look them in the eye, right? I knew what I was talking about, or I knew the questions I wanted to ask, but it was really like you want to get to know them. You don't just start with can you sell them a credit card, or can they open a bank account? It was about getting to know them as a person. And then once you understand them and maybe their business, if they had one, or their personal finance, you would be able to provide solutions because you got to know them as an individual. So as you said, relationship. I'm old school, and that will never go out of style, even though that's not the way business is done now. But everything is really driven by relationships, and I was taught that by those two people.
I love that. And just, can we even stay on that topic? Just, can you talk a little bit about just the importance of relationships, just early on your entrepreneur journey? Like, how pivotal was that for you?
Extremely pivotal. Like I said, relationships are everything. Your reputation comes before you, right? And so how you conduct yourself, how you lead with integrity, what your intentions are, those really reflect themselves in their actions more so than their words, right? First of all, I learned that from home, from my grandmother and my grandfather, right? And then when I went into the professional space, into my first banking job at Chase, again, I was blessed because this is all part of God's plan, that He put the right people in my life professionally that I could model and look up to, right? And I remember way back when I was probably 19, and another mentor of mine, actually, she's passed away, God rest her soul, her name was Gail Robinson, and she said to me, Michelle, if you could go home every night and look yourself in the mirror and know that you did the right thing, you had a good day. Don't worry about the consequences. Don't worry about who yelled at you or what your boss said. But if you know that you did the right thing and you can look yourself in the mirror when you go home, you've done the right thing. And that has always stuck with me. Always stuck with me. So
that is so true. And that's, that's something that we cherish and value in our company, just being honest, living in integrity, in terms of like how we communicate and just being, transparent with the process from start to finish. And also building a relationship. That's our favorite part about what we do, just being able to connect with amazing people like you. And go beyond the lens, go beyond photography, and be able to build this connection beyond what we're doing right now with content creation. Yeah, I think my biggest question right now for me is because a lot of people are probably in the stage of trying to figure out which direction they should go in terms of like business or their passions. Like, what kind of led you on this entrepreneur journey, in the sense of like, were you always like entrepreneur spirit, or you just, what led you on that?
I think I always was a fire starter, but not calling it an entrepreneurial journey. She's one of my dearest friends now. Her name is Karen, but she used to be my assistant for 17 years. And she jokes with me now, like she's still in the financial sector, and she's like, you would never put up with this. You would never put up this. Because I've always had that, like, are they crazy? I've always had that like, I could do it better, or I know my client, because again, it goes back to relationships, right? And so what led me to this purpose, or in my purpose to this point, was being fired. I can laugh about it now. Being fired for no reason, out of the clear blue sky, 13 years ago, having the most depressing, hard times of my life for 9 months and it wasn't even about the money, to be honest with you. It was about the psychological component of being fired from a job that I loved and I thought was my dream job, right? But again, we've talked about this before, and what we were doing earlier, that God was setting me up to walk in my purpose and where I am now for a multitude of reasons, right? So my story can help and encourage and inspire the next person, the Black single mother, single dad, the Black woman entrepreneur, the person with a dream, just knowing that their purpose is bigger than them, right? And to just go for it, because that's what I did after I was fired. Not immediately, I got a job at another bank. I started this as a side hustle, and now we're 9 years old, and we have an amazing clientele. We are recognized. I'm recognized in Billboard as a top business manager for the last few years, which I'm really humbled for. And I couldn't do it without my team, because it's really my team. That we get up every day to give our clients, the best, and try to lead them down the right road for financial success and teach them along the way, right? But I had to crawl before I could walk, because I started out just as Michelle in a one person office in downtown Manhattan, doing QuickBooks myself, the bookkeep, all the things, to where we are now. So I'm very humbled. I'm very proud of it. And I put in a lot of work. Thank you. It's been a lot of work. Not everybody gets it. It's not for the weak or the, it's a lot, but it's worth it in the end. And like I said, when you receive the aha moment of why you're doing it and it's bigger than you, then that kind of fuels the fire to keep going.
I love your whole story. And guys, please go to her Instagram, and because she's got more videos that goes deeper into her story. But one of the things that just stands out is the fact that you were at this job that you believed, was for you, but it's crazy that, God had something even better that maybe at the time you couldn't even see. So it's insane just how your story unfolded. And so my last question for today, unless EJ has more questions, but you're in the finance space. So to end this podcast off, we kind of want to know, why is it so important, finances, for everyone, entrepreneurs, and just to anybody listening right now?
Well, I will start off by saying, and not trying to make it long drawn out, that we know that money doesn't buy happiness, right? However, we do know that money provides options, right? My grandmother always told me to have options, right? We also know that our community is lacking in financial literacy, access, or even if and not just our community too, but a lot of people, you always hear people that hit the lotto, like now it's almost $2 billion. I think it's like 1.7. Yeah. But then you hear about those people going broke in less than 5 years or 10 years. Why? Because they don't have a good foundation, right? And so people get caught up in things as opposed to wealth. Right? A wealth mindset. So I'm not saying I don't like nice things. I'm not saying I don't buy Gucci. I should have stock. But what I'm saying is, and I wasn't always this way, I learned the hard way, because I did have a very good teacher in the personal finance space, which was my grandmother. She bought 4 houses in cash.
Oh, wow.
And she only had a 9th grade education. Right? And she was a domestic worker, and she was a cook, and my grandfather was a chauffeur. Now they say chef and driver, but the job is the same. She taught me and used to talk to me about money since I was 5 years old. But of course, I had my own path, and I was, got in credit card debt and overspent, and I loved to shop, and I did all the things until I don't now, right? And so I come from a place of not only that this is my professional career and I've lived it, I've learned it, I've been educated in it, but I've also experienced it myself. So I just try to come from a place of all those things, and the advice and the knowledge that, or I shouldn't say advice, but the information that I share to the public about what to do and what not to do. So that's why it's important, because it gives you options, right? So when you have financial knowledge and wherewithal, you can make informed decisions. The last thing I'll say is, like, as an example, a lot of people are afraid of investing because they hear the word invest, or they feel like they don't have enough money to invest. And now with social media, there's so much information out there. But the bottom line is, you can start anywhere, and you should just start, right? And once you start and you form good habits and you educate yourself and you find a good financial support system. Another thing I always say to people, especially entrepreneurs, which I was that person, you need to have an amazing banker. You need to have a great relationship with your banker, right? Because they can make or break you, your business, you personally, they can, they share information. So that as a banker, how I started, which we talked about last time, is that I realized that my clients didn't have access to a lot of financial things that other people did. So I wanted to be the one to bring them that information and help them thrive in their financial lives, right? Again, to go back to say that wealth doesn't buy happiness or provide happiness, or money doesn't provide happiness, let me say that. But what is important is that we all have the same playing field, that we all have the same access or knowledge and or information, and we can make the right decisions for ourselves and our family. That's why it's important.
That's the exposure aspect, exposing ourselves to the information, especially in our community, learning more about finances, learning about budgeting, and using tools like that to help us on our journey. Because honestly, my personal background, I come from a background where we don't really talk about money like that, and not many of my family members are in business or entrepreneurs. So a lot of the things that I'm learning is through people like yourself that's online in the digital space, that's providing the value that we were able to apply now in our lives. So before we quickly wrap up, I just want you to share just some tips on how to manage finances in business, or what are some tips or strategies you will like to share that to the entrepreneur that's starting out? What should they first do if they're starting out on their journey?
So an entrepreneur needs 3 things, period. They need a great banker, they need a great accountant, and they need a great lawyer. Those are the 3 things that they're non-negotiable. And with the accounting and the finance space, what I always say is that a lot of people will be like, I'll do it myself and I'll do QuickBooks myself, which is fine, right? Depending on where you are. Not everybody needs a business manager. Right. But what is important is that you recognize that you need real-time bookkeeping and accounting so you can print out financial reports and financial statements that we talked a lot about today, because in order to plan and make informed decisions, you need to know your numbers, right? So you can't move forward if you don't know where you are. And even when you're starting, you need to know, you need to have a budget. So you need to know, if you're going to get a small office space, or if, like, you guys are in the content creation space, so how much your equipment is going to cost. You need to make sure you have, great insurance. You need to make sure that the way that you're setting up your company is the right way for you. So that's where the accountant comes in. So I would, I could talk on and on about these things. So I'll just sum it up to say, entrepreneur starting out, the three non-negotiable basic things that you need is a great banker, a great accountant, and a great lawyer.
Woo.
Amen.
Amen to that. Those are three things that we learned quickly that we definitely had to learn more about, just about accounting and taxes, what to write off, what not to write off, just the legal aspect.
Right.
Brittany's really big in that aspect, contracts, making sure that's in place at all times. So totally valuable. So listen, if you're listening and you're starting out, those are the biggest things that you initially need getting started. And just look online. There's plenty of resources out there that can help you get started in that area. Or you can, visit Michelle's website, and she can give you some, practical advice or tips on that area. Quickly, just share how can the audience stay in contact, or if they ever want to work with you, where can they find you?
So you can find me. Our website is www.richburgenterprisesllc.com. On Instagram, I am at the Michelle Richburg, and LinkedIn is Michelle Richburg, and Facebook is Richburg Enterprises LLC. Are those all the things?
That's all the things. Listen, we're super proud of you too, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being on our podcast. We're just starting out not too long ago, so we're super excited about it. And
I'm so humbled.
If you guys are listening on Spotify, please leave a comment, review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and let us know who you guys want to see next on the podcast. And we hope to see you guys soon in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.